You've been in a band called Two Cow Garage for a while now.
Yeah,
right?
24 years.
24 years.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what's that like being in a band for 24 years?
It's a full relationship. The playing is the intimacy, and then there's everything else that comes with it. And you have to be forgiving and thoughtful of the other people that you're working with, and hope that they're forgiving and thoughtful of you and your missteps along the way. I think that's what Shane and I have been able to do, is respect one another throughout the years.
So you and Shane have been constant members of that band
Yes,
for the
yeah, it's
past
been the
24
two of
years.
us for 24 years, and we've had different drummers and stuff like that, guitar players.
But you two have kind of been like the constant
Yeah,
members
yeah,
of that lineup.
yeah. We're the two since the very beginning, and we're both songwriters in the band.
Okay, so the songs you were playing tonight, you both played solo sets tonight.
Yeah,
Were those your own original songs, or were those Two Cow Garage songs that you were playing? Or?
Shane did a little bit of both. Mine were all songs from my solo records.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as far as your solo music, how long have you been playing guitar and writing songs for?
Since I was about 14 years old, I started. I'm 42 now, so is that 28 years? I've been doing that, and yeah, I've put out. Two Cow has 7 full-length records, and I just put out my fourth or fifth full-length solo record last year.
So I wanted to ask you some questions about your songwriting because I noticed you have a pretty distinctive style. It's almost like a narrative songwriting style where it comes across almost more like prose than verse. At least in a lot of songs, I sense this sort of discontent with the state of affairs of the world right now coming through. So where does that come from?
It comes from, I didn't start out that way. It took me a long time to build up to that. But once I kind of broke from the barriers of, not barriers, but the regular songwriting structure, when I wrote my first book, that's when everything kind of broke open and switching over into prose more and speaking rather than singing, I think. Was when that changed. That would have been around 2016, 17.
Yeah, that was another question I actually had for you. Also, I think if you could speak up a little bit. This microphone should do a decent job of catching your voice, but
They're all listening. I don't want to be too loud. Probably go back here in the back room, maybe. You want to hear maybe? Is that too much?
So I'm guessing you've played Frankie's before?
Yeah. I've been playing Frankie's for a long time.
Yeah, I mean Frankie's has been around forever.
Yeah,
Since before I was born. So
yeah. So Two Cow started playing here really early on. So around 2003 or something like that, we started playing, and we played full band, solo, and every setup of Two Cow Garage we've played here. Tonight was kind of an easy one because we weren't the headliners. So playing with Ben Nichols is always. We've been fortunate enough to play with Ben and his band Lucero. Getting to play in front of his crowd tonight, it's always a pleasure to get to do that because I feel like they're song-oriented people, so it's easy to walk up on the stage and play songs to people that are looking for that and are used to that. And Ben's an incredible songwriter and lyricist also, so people are used to listening to the lyrics, so there's not a challenge or a gap that you have to really jump opening up for that crowd.
Sure. So before we had to move, I did have a question I was going to ask you, which was, you're a novelist. You've written 2 novels.
Two.
You've published 2 novels now.
Yes.
So how does that influence your songwriting? You kind of got to this already, but I want to dig into that a bit more.
For me personally, it just broke me pretty wide open and broke me of the normal song structure, and it got me much more into the details, being more detail oriented and being able to really tell a more linear story, I think, at least trying to, in the work. And that's what has led me to where we are now, over the last 7 or 8 years of working up and telling these very small stories, I think. Very small, quick snapshots of life in general. Everything pretty much comes from real life right now. I think my natural instinct is to come more from the hip-hop mindset of happening right here, right now, rather than the folk tradition is to kind of look backward, I think. That doesn't interest me so much. I'm more interested in what's happening around us right here, right now. I think I get that more from the hip-hop side of things.
Sure, yeah, your songs seem strikingly contemporary. I mean, you mentioned, for instance, Cybertrucks.
Right.
I believe in one song,
Right.
which is, something that 5 years ago, no one would have mentioned that because it didn't exist back then.
Right.
Whereas a lot of a lot of folk musicians seem to sort of almost imitate musicians from the distant past.
And you're always looking backwards, and that's the tradition of that structure and those kinds of songs. And I think I'm really attracted to the right here, right now, which I think the hip hop is more footed in. They're always telling the story of right here, right now. I might need to go sell merch real fast. Try to sell merch real fast.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I guess one last quick question.
Yeah.
Two Cow Garage, what are your plans going forward?
We just did a show 2 weeks ago. We're playing again in June, on June 5th in Columbus, Ohio. And it's difficult being in your 40s and trying to get the full band traveling and everything. So when opportunities come along, we'll take what we can and be out on the road and out in the world.